Hello and welcome to the first episode of Reddit Read. This is a channel where we read Reddit stories and talk about them a little bit. My name is Julian. I'm going to be your host on this channel. I will be reading the stories, no AI voices here. Each episode we will have a theme that all the stories kind of center around. So to start us off today, our theme is going to be a Reddit classic, family drama. This one always gets messy. And I think instead of red today, I think I'm feeling blue. Blue for family drama today. Yeah, blue. And with that, remember to like and subscribe, and let's get into our first story. Our first story comes from Am I the Asshole, a Reddit classic. So here we go. Am I the asshole for leaving my sister's wedding? For a little backstory, I, 24-year-old woman, and my sister, 26-year-old woman, have never been crazy close, but we get on well. I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, unplanned. After about a year, she announced she was engaged. At the time the invites were sent out, my daughter wasn't born, but she would have been at the time of the wedding. So I called my sister and asked what the rules were in regard to children. She said it was child-free. I made arrangements for someone to have the baby on the day of the wedding and thought no more of it. For some additional context, I was extremely unwell my entire pregnancy and almost died giving birth. Not once did my sister ask how we were, not even when the baby was born. Not even a text to say congratulations. She was 4 months old by the time of the wedding, and my sister had met her once, and that was only because I went down to see her. I live 100 miles away. We get to the wedding, and turns out it's not child-free. It's not even baby-free. This broke my heart, and I was so angry. So I just left the wedding and went and picked up my child and drove back home. 2 weeks later, my sister calls me and asks me why me and my husband left. And when I told her, she kicked off saying it wasn't personal, my daughter wasn't invited. The other babies were invited as they were her family. I just told her that her niece is also her family and hung up. So some of my family think I'm the asshole and should have just sucked it up for my sister's wedding, but my friends are on my side. Yeah, so I don't think she's the asshole for leaving the wedding. I don't think so at all, because she was told by her sister it was going to be a child-free wedding, and she did her due diligence and got arrangements for her baby to be taken care of during that time, and then she showed up, and guess what? It wasn't child-free. So I'm not sure what's going on with her sister, that she specifically hates her child. I don't know, but I thought initially where this was going is that this sister was going to be like, oh, I hate children. I can't stand children. I don't want to even be around children, because when the OP said that she didn't even say congratulations when she had the baby, I thought that was crazy. I'm like, okay, she's your sister and she's having a child, probably one of the most hard moments of her life, and you're not even saying congratulations to her. That's kind of insane. And the only time she's ever seen the child is when the sister drove up there to see her. And that's kind of insane as well. So I thought maybe this sister was just going to be like, oh, I don't like kids. I'm completely child-free and I don't want to ever be around kids ever. But clearly she's okay with kids being around because it wasn't a completely child-free wedding. So yeah, I don't think OP's the asshole here. I would have been totally upset as well. I'm not sure what the sister has against her child specifically. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to find out because there's no updates to this one, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen an update from this one, but there's not. So let's read a couple of the comments here. Not the asshole. The fact that she does not consider your daughter her family is very troubling, and honestly, I'd stop making any effort to see her at all. Yeah, I totally agree, and I kind of missed that she said that the reason that the kids that were at the wedding were allowed is because they were her family, yet somehow her niece is not her family. I'm not sure what's going on with this sister. She has some kind of resentment towards OP, not sure what it is. And we don't really know. There's not a whole lot to go off of here. Another comment here, not the asshole. If your daughter isn't family, why should you be family to your sister? Sounds like it's time to go no contact. And, you know, going no contact with family is, you know, a big deal. And it would take a lot for me to go no contact with a family member. But to be quite honest with you, this might do it for me. So I agree with that comment. And the OP actually responded to that comment I just read, and they said, we haven't spoken in about 5 months now. She hasn't called me, so I haven't bothered to try and call her. She didn't even call on my daughter's first birthday. She's still only met her auntie once since the wedding, which was July last year, and that's when I went with her to visit at Christmas. So yeah, it looks like OP went no contact. This was posted 2 years ago where they hadn't spoken for 5 months. So that's really the only update we have, is that 5 months later, hasn't spoken to the sister. And with that, we'll be moving on to our next story. I just wanted something really simple to ease us in. I promise this will get a lot more crazy by the end, okay? All right, next story. This also comes from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not taking down pictures of my family and my own home to make my son's new wife feel more comfortable? Okay, even without reading the story, I'm going to say not the asshole, but maybe this has a twist, so let's see. I, late 50s, am a picture person. I have hundreds up in my home. It started when I was caring for my aunt with Alzheimer's and has just gone from there. I have 3 kids and 4 grandkids, and as you can imagine, I love having photos of them up on my home. My middle son, Gavin, 27, is no longer with my 4-year-old grandson, Tommy's mom, Helena. They're still friendly and co-parent well, and I see her often enough because I help with Tommy. Last year, he married Cherry, also 27, only being together a few months, but she seems sweet and like she makes him happy. We had no issues until this summer, when my son asked me to take down any and all pictures that Helena was in to make Cherry more comfortable. I don't have any of her alone, just a few of the entire family and a few when Tommy was younger that my son is also in. I said no, it's my house and I like having them up. I certainly have added many with Cherry in them, but it's silly to take them down just because Helena and Gavin are no longer together. It's still a part of our family history. He asked again a few weeks ago and I gave him the same answer. I told him that I'd be happy to explain to Cherry, but he dropped it. He called me yesterday and told me that it was the last time he was going to ask. The pictures needed to come down or Cherry wouldn't come to our house anymore. I told him that was ridiculous, and he said it was important to him because they made Cherry feel jealous and it was affecting the way she was treating Tommy. I am appalled. Apparently, Tommy mentioned a picture in the house and Cherry threw a fit, and Gavin says that it's making his life difficult. He brought it up around my daughter, the oldest, who told her youngest sister as well, and they both agree Cherry is being ridiculous. I told him, if your wife is treating Tommy poorly because of some pictures in my home, then you need to think if this is the right person. Obviously, he disagrees, but he has been hounding me leading up to Thanksgiving. My husband is also on the side of we do not negotiate with terrorists, but has also pointed out that they are married and we should pick our battles. I'm wondering if I'm missing the forest for the trees. Just a quick edit. If there was abuse, I would have already called CPS. Cherry has decided when Tommy is there to make herself sparse and not be involved with him anymore. I have told Gavin that's not acceptable, and he says he's working on it, but there's nothing to report, and Helena knows all of this. So again, I think this is a clear not the asshole for OP because it's his house. You can't tell somebody else what to do with the decorations or pictures or literally anything in their own house. If it makes you uncomfortable, then get up and leave, I guess. And I also think the fact that this person, Cherry, I think her name was, that the reasoning she gives for this is because it makes her feel jealous. And I'm like, if seeing a picture of your husband with his ex-wife and his kid that they had together makes you jealous, then I don't think this relationship is probably going to work out. I mean, if she's getting jealous over pictures, like imagine what happens when, because he said they were co-parenting. So what happens when the ex-wife comes over to drop off the kids? What is she going to do? Like punch her in the face because she's so jealous? And I mean, really the fact that Cherry is so jealous of this says way more about her than it does anyone else in this situation, because it shows that she's insecure about herself or the relationship. She's insecure about something, which to me says, well, you aren't ready to be in a relationship. And I think they're already married. So I think that's, yeah. And it said they only knew each other for a few months, right? Yeah. It says last year he married Cherry, also 27, after only being together for a few months. So that's kind of insane. So yeah, OP's definitely not the asshole for this. But we have kind of a little update. He puts it as an an edit, but I think it has some updated information. So let's read here. Edit, thanks. I won't be removing anything, and if Cherry wants to continue this toddler-like temper tantrum, she's welcome to stay home alone on Thanksgiving. If she wants to grow up and realize that she married a man with a child, she can come, but I'll be having a serious talk with my son. My husband and I are well off and readily help our kids financially. He is welcome to cut me off over this, but I doubt that will happen as we will react likewise. Also, I counted today when I was cleaning. I saw max 5 pictures with Helena in it. The fact that this woman is throwing a fit about 5 out of hundreds of pictures is crazy to me. Maybe I'll put up more with the emoji that's like, so yeah, I would say clearly not the asshole here. And I think that was the verdict here, of course. Let's read some of the comments. Poor Tommy, just wait until a new baby comes along. And then someone commented on that. Hopefully Cherry is kicked to the curb before that happens. Yeah, this girl seems like a problem. You know, obviously we're just judging based on what is written in a Reddit story. And the narrator can't always be reliable, but I think it seems pretty clear here that Cherry she's bad. Okay, she's just bad. She's not ready for a relationship. If she's getting jealous over this, she's clearly insecure about herself or the relationship or something. Maybe she's cheating. Maybe she's cheating, actually. That's usually how Reddit stories go, is they're actually just cheating. Another comment here, I honestly think OP, Mom, should show this Reddit to Gavin because things always get worse, not better. For example, if she's already causing a fit in division over some family photos, imagine what is about to happen in the near future. Gavin should read all the comments and seriously think about his options. Poor Tommy. Yeah, I totally agree. Cherry's bad. We don't have an update here. Yeah, I agree with that. Really, the one that's going to suffer the most from this is the 4-year-old kid, I think, which is really unfortunate. But we're not going to know because there's not an update for this one, unfortunately. So with that, we're moving on to our next story. And again, it's from Am I the Asshole? I think all of them are from Am I the Asshole today. Am I the asshole for not forgiving my foster family? Let's see. So I, 16-year-old woman, am in a foster home. Can't remember if this is my 14th or 15th placement, but somewhere around there. I've been with this current family, we'll call them the Millers, since the beginning of January. They're nice and they have a huge extended family, which is something I'm not used to. We were at the foster mom's sister's house for the Super Bowl yesterday. I think like 30 plus people were there for the game. The husband, Rick, 50-something, really treats me different. When I was in the house, he spent like every moment staring at me like he was waiting for me to steal something. I've been in the system since I was 7, so I'm used to it. It still sucks, but whatever. We spent the whole time watching the game, the halftime show, and had a great time making food and watching the Seahawks win. When we got back to our house, I was getting ready to get in the shower when there was a loud knocking on the door. My foster dad opened it and Rick came rushing in screaming about how I was a thief. One of his watches disappeared during the game. I guess he has a collection of expensive watches. He had called everyone he could think of, telling them I had stolen it and if they had seen me with the watch. Then demanded they check my room, check me, and call the police. I just handed over my hoodie, turned in a circle so they could see there was no watch-shaped bulge in my jeans. I let Rick and my foster parents take turns going through my room. There wasn't a lot to go through, 30-gallon bag rule, and they didn't find a watch. Rick left after that and said he was going to call the police if the watch didn't turn up. About an hour after he left, my foster parents got a call from his wife. They'd found the watch under the dresser. She was apologetic and said she should have made him look harder before running out the door to accuse me of stealing. She was hoping we could put this all behind us, and I just shook my head and went to take a shower. I'm not forgiving Rick for running around telling everyone I'm a thief because he couldn't look before he lost his mind. I know it's going to cause problems, but I just don't want to be the bigger person when I'm not an adult. So I guess, am I the asshole for not forgiving him for calling me a thief? Yeah, this one's tough because I mean she's a foster kid and this is her 14th or 15th placement, and she says it's normal for I don't even know what you call it, people that keep foster kids to think that they're stealing, and that's really unfortunate. The foster care, I mean, having to be put in foster care in the first place is just terrible, and the system is not good either. So I feel for her in that regard. Now, I don't think she's the asshole for not forgiving him at this point. if he apologizes to her, then yeah, she should forgive him, but he hasn't apologized. So I don't think she's the asshole. She shouldn't just go up to him and be like, "Oh, I forgive you," because he didn't say he was sorry, and I'm sure he's not sorry. But Rick, he definitely should apologize because it was under his dresser. Really? I mean, this is a classic old person can't find something for like 10 years and it's like right in front of them. Well, I mean, under the dresser is not right in front, but you know what I mean. So he really should apologize to her. I don't think that's probably not gonna happen because this guy seems like an asshole. OP's not the asshole. Rick is the asshole here. If Rick posted this from his perspective and he was actually honest about it, it'd be like, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. But what really sucks here is that it seems like, at least it seems like the way that this is written, it seems like Rick is kind of just blaming her because she's a foster kid and he has this like notion that foster kids are going to steal from him, which is really not a good notion to have because it's just stereotyping people. So I think the clear verdict here is not the asshole, but let's read some of the comments. Maybe I'm totally wrong. No, you're not the asshole. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm guessing life is and has been already very hard for you. You didn't deserve to be treated like that. From this random internet mum to you, I honestly wish for your life to improve beyond your wildest dreams and that you're given love and security. Yes, I wish the same thing for this girl. One more comment here. Maybe I'm cynical, but something about this has my spidey senses tingling. Is it far-fetched that I'm thinking that Rick wanted to do a pat down or get this literal child undressed to prove she's not a thief? Something about this man bothers me. You know, I really didn't even think about that, but it really isn't that far-fetched, and that's unfortunate that I have to say that, but it's true. Yeah, so no update on this one, but hopefully she's out of that foster family. Hopefully she found a permanent family that is a great fit for her, because clearly Rick is not, because he seems a little sus. So, all right, our next story, of course, from Am I the Asshole again? Am I the asshole for leaving the entirety of my business to my daughter and causing my other kids to accuse me of playing favorites? Let's find out. When I graduated college, I got a job in tech and my girlfriend, now wife, was pregnant with my first child. I wanted to open my own business, but the timing was shitty and way too much of a risk that I could not afford. So I accepted the job in tech. I never left the field as it paid well and let me do what's best for my family. I had 2 more kids, Z, 32-year-old woman, Y, 31-year-old man, and X, 30-year-old woman. Married my girlfriend who wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and started saving for their college. I sort of accepted long ago that I would never be able to go into business. Oh my God. You're fucking shitting me. My wife wanted to save some more. Jesus Christ. My wife wanted to save some more for the kids for after college. All of my kids got a full ride scholarship to college, and I told them that their college fund will be given to them when they graduate. All of a sudden, I didn't have to work in a field I was not passionate about anymore. When X graduated, I really wanted to start my business. I did not have much money sitting idle except our emergency and retirement fund. I was reluctant to touch them, but I needed capital. So I asked my kids if I could use their college fund. I warned them very clearly that this might backfire massively. I could end up losing all the money and it wouldn't be able to give them any money. Z had already bought a house. Y did not want to take the risk. X accepted. I wouldn't have held it against them at all. I slowly started my business. Easy because I was always passionate and continued to learn about it over the years. My tech experience has elevated my business model. This business was a hit around the 1-year mark and it continued to grow. The company grew exponentially when the pandemic hit. My business is now worth over $30 million compared to the $500,000 it was started with. Wow, that's actually insane. Recently, we acquired a new big project which would definitely make the company much bigger in the upcoming years, maybe 2x or even 3x the profits. When we had dinner with all the kids and their families for the daughter's 30th birthday, I told her that this success belongs to her as her belief in me was what started it all. I said that it was her company as much as it was mine. After dinner, Z asked me what I meant and I told her about my current will. My wife would get 2 houses. One we are living in and a vacation house which would give her a sizable monthly income. My personal assets and money will go 50% to my wife, and the other 50% will be split equally among the three. But the company would go to X and only her. X and her husband are business majors and currently run their own businesses, which is also a bonus. This has created quite the drama in my family. From my point of view, she incurred all the risks, so she must reap all the benefits. However, my wife and my other kids disagree as everyone are fighting now. Z and Y are pointing out that I said I wouldn't hold it against them, but that's what I'm doing. My wife thinks the kids are right and it looks like I'm playing favorites. X has just said that it is my decision and she would accept whatever that turns out to be. Am I the asshole? Okay, this one's a little layered here because he did use their college fund and X was the only one that said that she was okay with the risk. The other two didn't want to do it. So, I mean, on a technical grounds, he doesn't have to give the business to his kids at all. On a technical grounds, he could give it to a charity if he wanted to. So technically, he doesn't have to give it to any of the kids. But morally, I think I kind of agree with him because he told all of them equally what he was going to do with this money. It might backfire. It might be a huge success. And it happened to not backfire, and it happened to be a huge success. And the two of them didn't want to take the risk, and X did, and they were the only ones that were okay with it, and they're going to reap the benefits of it, is the way I see it. Now, is it a little bit petty to not give the other two kids at least some of the business? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I think at the point that he was starting the business, I mean, like, this was their college fund, but they already got a full ride scholarship. So it doesn't say here how old they were when he was discussing he wanted to start this business and when they were asking him, do you guys want to take the risk? Do you not? It doesn't say how old they are, but like I'm kind of inferring that they were about to graduate college or at least were in college at that point. So they're adults at that point is what I'm saying. So like I'm saying that at that point, you're an adult, you can make it a decision like that, and you chose not to invest in the business. Like that's the way I'm seeing it, is like you had this money that was yours and you chose not to invest it in this business. So of course you're not going to get a pie of the business if you didn't invest in the business. Now it's a family. So that's where family businesses are always complicated like that, and honestly, if I was him, I would have gave a little bit of the business to the other two kids, but gave most of it to X. But it's his business. He can do whatever he wants with it. And what he could do and what might end up happening is he might die and the business ends up going to X, and X is like, oh, you guys can have half of it anyways. Like what I think he should do is he should ask X, are you okay with the business not going 100% to you? And if she says, oh yeah, that's fine, then he can just change the will. Or if X agrees, oh, you can just leave the will the same, but I'll give them 50%, 25% each once that happens, because I don't need the full business. That's what I think he should do. I mean, he really just needs to like talk to everybody. They kind of need to have like a group meeting, but hopefully we'll find out because we have an update on this one. This is our first one with an update. So let's see what's going on here. Well, actually, let me read let me read some of the comments first before I read the update. Not the asshole. Your other two kids are only seeing dollar signs right now as your business is successful. Yeah, that's a good point. I think if the business failed, then they would be like, see, I told you it was going to fail. But now because it's successful, they're like, oh, well, I want a part of that. I chose to miss out on that, but now I want a part of it, I think is what's going on here. Someone responded to that saying 100% this, they reap what they sowed. And since they sowed nothing, they reap nothing, not the asshole, and don't give in to the greedy children. But without any further ado, let's read this update. I called the family meeting over Skype. Jesus, how long ago was this? It was only 4 years ago. Yeah, this guy must be old. Anyways, I called a family meeting over Skype. All 5 of us were there in that call. First, I apologized for how the news came out. I told that I had wrongly assumed that everyone would be okay with this. My children aren't greedy or entitled. They are responsible and kind. They need not have studied as hard as they did as they could have easily used the money I had given them. Instead, they worked hard and got scholarships. Even after college, they worked hard and got good jobs and made good investments. If they hadn't, I wouldn't have continued my previous job to save more money for their future or to help them out. In a way, they all helped me do what I needed to do. I told them that even now I can give them each 1/3 of the company and give X whatever she gave me with 25% interest separately. I asked them to answer me honestly one question. If the business had gone really badly, would they have split their money and given a share to X, or would they have told her to accept that her investment was a risk? That's kind of what I was saying. My children are not liars. They admitted even though they are now all well settled, back then they might not have given X any from their share. In the end, I told them that they can decide what I need to do, and I would do that. Both of them said that X deserves it and she would make the most out of the business in the future. They also admitted that they felt guilty for not helping me, and it felt like I was pointing that out. I again told them that they all helped me in this and that was not what I was doing. I apologized for the abruptness, but told them that I just wanted to show appreciation towards X, not make them feel bad. I also reminded them that I am not going anywhere anytime soon, but I was glad this was over now, instead of them thinking that I was angry or something after I was gone, and I couldn't have clarified any of this to them. All is well that ends well, I suppose. Okay, so that actually kind of turned out good. So they talked about it and they agreed each of them get 1/3 of the company and give X whatever she gave me with 25% interest separately. So I think that's a fair compromise. I don't really think he's really entitled to give them anything because, again, it's like you didn't invest. You chose not to invest in this business at the time. So, but he's being a nice guy. He's a nice father. But I like that he did point out to them, like, if the business didn't work out, then what would have happened then, right? So I like that he pointed that out, and it seemed like they gave an honest answer to it. So what I like here is everybody after this Skype call is they're communicating with each other, and that's something that's very common in these Reddit stories. Is a lot of times it's just like people aren't communicating with each other, but you see what happens in the end? They all communicated and they reached a happy ending. So that was a good one. Alrighty, our last story, of course, comes from Am I the Asshole again? And just looking at it, it looks a little bit longer than our previous stories. So hopefully it is juicy, juicy, juicy. Anyways, am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law that her strictly confidential information had already been leaked by her own mother, which caused a massive family fight? Okay, just that title seems crazy. My sister-in-law holds a political office in the municipality where we live. During a conversation, she confided in me a strictly confidential piece of information on the condition that I would not tell anyone, not even my partner, her, or her brother. However, she also told me that she had shared it with her mother, my mother-in-law, who was likewise not supposed to pass it on. So for 4 days, the only people who were meant to keep this to themselves were my mother-in-law and me. On the 4th day, today, there was going to be a meeting with the people concerned, and the information would be shared with them anyway. After that, it could also be published within the family. So I promised her I would keep the information to myself, which I did. Edit to add, it was a secret connected to her political position, but not top secret, a strategic one that needed to be kept confidential for a couple of days. Okay. The day after our conversation, my partner, her brother, approached me and told me he had a secret piece of information to share. At first, I didn't react. He kept talking, and it quickly became clear that he was referring to that exact secret. I interrupted him and said that I was already aware with it, without specifying what it was about. I then asked him where he had gotten the information, and he said that my mother had told him. A few hours later, my sister-in-law came to visit, and I let her know that unfortunately her mother had passed the secret on. She confronted her, and it led to a huge argument. After that, my partner confronted me and blamed me for the entire situation. He says the family is now in conflict because I didn't keep my mouth shut and told my sister-in-law that the secret had been shared. It's also important to mention that during the confrontation, my mother-in-law lied. First, she claimed she hadn't told him anything. Then she said that her husband, their father, who by the way was not supposed to know either, had probably told him. Then she accused me of having told him. Now, I'm going to fight with my partner because he gave me confidential information that I wasn't supposed to pass on. but I informed the original source of that confidential information that it had been shared. So basically, my partner says I'm the asshole because he told me the secret and I ran to sister-in-law, the source. Am I the asshole for feeling responsible to let my sister-in-law know that the information had been spread, which ultimately caused a huge fight? So she's asking if she's the asshole because somebody told her the secret, which they weren't supposed to know. So she went and told the sister-in-law, hey, this secret's out. She's asking if she's the asshole for that. And I don't see how she could be the asshole for that, because it's not her fault that this whole fight ensued with, who was it? The brother? No, I'm sorry. It's OP's partner that told OP, hey, I know this thing. And then OP went back to the sister-in-law, who was the source, and said, hey, my partner knows about this. Like, did you tell him? And then it caused this huge argument. So, and her partner is blaming her for causing this whole argument when she could have just kept her mouth shut. But here's the thing. OP's partner could have kept his mouth shut because what? Like, if the partner wouldn't have said that to OP in the first place, then the fight wouldn't have happened. That was what instigated it, not OP telling the source, hey, I think your secret's out. So that's just insane, you know. And I'm going to give the classic Reddit advice anytime something is going on with a relationship, which is just break up. I mean, obviously they should just break up here. Yeah, so at least from that, OP is not the asshole in the situation. But I also do think it's a little weird of the sister-in-law to tell OP this secret in the first place and be like, oh, this is super confidential, you can't tell anyone. Why would sister-in-law have told OP in the first place if it's like super confidential? Because it's kind of putting OP in a weird position where like they know information that they're like, oh, you can't tell anyone about this. Like, this is super confidential. That puts a lot of pressure on a person. So I'm also kind of questioning sister-in-law for telling this to OP in the first place. Like, sister-in-law didn't have to do that. So this is kind of like an everyone sucks here except for OP, I think, because it doesn't seem like OP is doing anything that I'm like, oh, you're the asshole for this. But I think the sister-in-law kind of sucks because they put OP in that situation to have this huge, super confidential secret that you can't tell anyone. And also clearly OP's partner sucks because I don't know what the hell this guy's doing. Oh yeah, and mother-in-law is in this too, and mother-in-law lied, so mother-in-law sucks too. So it seems like everyone sucks in this family. This family just sucks, I think, is what's going on. But let's see if it gets better because we have an update on this one. And it starts with business as usual, as if nothing had happened between my partner and me. Smiles, small talk, good mood. That's how conflict resolution always works here. Nothing gets resolved, it gets swept under the rug and ignored until it's thrown back in your face in the next tense situation. So everyone who thinks I didn't take my loyalty toward him seriously and that my poor hubby must be deeply hurt isn't entirely right. It's difficult to include all the background details in an Am I the Asshole post, but I will say this much. His loyalty toward me has always come last, whether it was about keeping promises, keeping secrets, or being faithful. I'm not saying this was an act of revenge for his behavior, but it certainly influenced my decision on a subconscious level, or rather, it's probably the reason why my promise to his sister mattered to me. Well, I didn't take my lack of loyalty toward him into consideration. Yesterday, after 2 missed calls from my mother-in-law, I sent her a message telling her that I would not be discussing this situation any further. I think that it would only create more room for arguments, and I simply don't have the energy for it. For years, I've suspected that I'm dealing with narcissists. My mother-in-law and her son. His sister, on the other hand, takes after her father. She's rather quiet, trustworthy, and handles things calmly. We'll see how this unfolds. However, my sister-in-law has already let me know that she intends to draw her own consequences and distance herself from the family in the near future. Guess who will be held responsible for that? LOL. Okay, so yeah, the family just the whole family sucks except for his sister, who's the one that's quiet and trustworthy. Yeah, so this is kind of an everyone sucks here, I think. But I think the biggest asshole here, by far, is her partner. So who knows how true it is of OP saying like his loyalty has always come last. But when you're reading a Reddit story, you kind of just have to take it for what it is. So I'm going to say that OP is being truthful here. So the fact that OP is just willingly open to admit that about their partner, his loyalty toward me has always come last. That's insane. I think my original advice that I'm like, oh, everybody always says this on Reddit of just break up. I think that is the correct advice here. But this was only posted 26 days ago. And there's no more updates at this point. So there might be an update in the future. We might come back to this in a future episode if there is an update on this. But let's see what the comments say here. So this comment's quoting a part from the story. My partner confronted me and blamed me for the entire situation. He says the family is now in conflict because I didn't keep my mouth shut. The comment is, I think it's pretty obvious that the family is in conflict because his mother couldn't keep her mouth shut and you caught her and dobbed her in. If she'd kept sister-in-law's confidence in the first place, then there wouldn't be anything to have a conflict about. Yeah, that's definitely true. OP commented on that, said that's what I'm thinking. Someone else said not only that, but their entire family cannot keep a secret to save their lives. Yeah. So we have another comment here. I don't understand why you think you're an asshole here. Someone's saying you are and why. And OP commented on that. And I guess they added this to the original post, so we already read this. But it's that they're in a fight with the partner because he gave me confidential information that I wasn't supposed to pass on, but I informed the original source of the confirmation. You know, this just doesn't make any sense. What her partner is saying is, oh, you weren't supposed to pass this information on, but he also passed the information on. And I think passing the information back to the source is less of an issue than passing the information on to someone else that you didn't know was supposed to have it. Like, his logic just doesn't make any sense here, because OP saying, so basically my partner says I am the asshole because he told me the secret and I ran to sister-in-law. That just doesn't make sense. One more comment here. Sister-in-law failed to follow Gibbs rule number 4. The best way to keep a secret, keep it to yourself. Second best, tell one other person if you must. There is no third best. You are not the asshole. Your husband is most definitely an asshole. I agree with that. You know, I think my original advice was correct. They should break up. And I didn't know it was husband. I thought it was just partner. But I guess they're married, so that's even worse. They should divorce. 100%. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. Now I am curious what this secret is. It has something to do with a political office in a city municipality. And like I said, this was only posted 26 days ago, so I'm hoping this one gets another update and we can actually know what the secret is, because I'm interested. Are you interested? Because I'm interested. Anyways, that is all the stories we have today. That is our first episode of Reddit Read. And you know, I'm trying out this new thing. Reddit stories are like one of the greatest things to ever grace this earth. I'm like either reading Reddit stories or listening to Reddit stories literally like all day. I'm like, I just need to sit down and read the stories in front of a camera because I feel like that would be entertaining. So let me know if you guys like the video, if you want any tweaks to the format or anything like that, if you want it to be longer, if you want it to be shorter, let me know. Still trying to figure everything out. I hope there are some people here. Maybe you've seen me from another channel, because I do have another channel. If you can find that, comment down below. But anyways, this has been our family drama, the first edition of the family drama episode of Reddit Read, and I will see you guys in the next video.